Բարի երեկո սիրել հեշտոտող բարեկամներ, անգամ եւս կմիանանք ձեզ հետ վայելելու AMGA հեռուստաընկերության հիմնակար հաղորդաշարով այսօր իմ հյուրս պիտի լա անգլերենով եւ կուզեմ որ անպայմանորեն շատ կարեւոր եթե Պաստապանական հարցեր ունեք, օրինական հարցեր ունեք, այսօր այդ օրն է, որ մենք խոսենք. Dear viewers, good evening. You're watching AMGA channel and Himnakar, which is translated into English is cornerstone, because we strongly believe that the healthy family is the cornerstone of healthy society. As you know, we are more than 2 decades on the air, and we're not just, making business here. We're here to give you views, news, and anything that it is important for our community. Therefore, first of all, before I introduce my friend and our guest today, I like to thank every one of you that you responded on social media, on especially on Facebook, on Himnakar TV show, and also in Twitter and so on. And especially thank you, Bartkes, Hagop, Marina, for your wonderful words and encouragement. This is what we are here for, to bring the main issue and all this new laws and any new information which you need to have and to know while we're living in this wonderful and great and blessed country where we call it our home. Therefore, so again, I'm thankful for your response, and this is what it makes me go on and make sure that we are succeeding our goals, which is mainly to educate our members of the community to not do something that later they will gonna regret. So today I like to introduce to you my dear friends. My dear friend Derek Tucker, he's a wonderful person, I have to say that, a great friend, and also a wonderful lawyer, attorney. And today we're going to talk about it. And first of all, I like to take this opportunity to thank you. I know you're very busy, but when I mentioned our show, and you said, sure. And therefore, I'm really thankful that, you came as our guest. And we'd like to see you often here. Okay. Well,
I thank you, Stefan, for inviting me down. It's truly an honor to come and spend time with you and speak to the community that you represent.
Thank you very much. So what I am trying to do is, last Monday, we were talking about whatever it happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, and somehow I tried to explain about free speech and so on. Okay. But thanks to you, now we are going to hear the legal aspects and essential information about the freedom of the speech. As you know, this is not rehearsed, this is not scripted, this is a free, we're exchanging our information, essential information for our viewers. And as you know, you can call in, and the number on the screen is the one that you can call in for your questions. So let's start with the, while I was trying to bring it together, freedom of the speech, right to free speech, whichever way wishes to put it in this. But how far can we go if can we go too far? How is it? Please explain that to us, freedom of speech and how far we can go.
Well, I'll say this first about our Constitution. The Constitution is a very, very powerful document, of course, as you know, and the rights that are contained in it expand to all citizens of the United States of America, and even people from other countries who are not legal citizens are extended certain rights through our Constitution. But freedom of speech or freedom of expression is the First Amendment. It's the very first amendment that is addressed in the Constitution, or is addressed as part of the Constitution, as an amendment.
And I just put it together when it says freedom of speech is covered in the First Amendment, which reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging of freedom of speech or the press and so on, or even a peaceful assembly should not be prohibited by the government.
Correct.
But the topic that as I was saying, the topic of today's show, the freedom of the speech, has been prevalent after the events in Charlottesville.
Sure.
That's why I want you to tell me. I mean, you know, I am also an immigrant.
Yes.
I am a legal immigrant and a citizen by choice.
Correct.
I am honored and happy to be part of, as I said, to this wonderful, beautiful, great nation that I call it home, and my kids call it home because it's their home.
Sure.
They were born here. So where are the
where are the boundaries? The metes and bounds of freedom of speech and expression.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, there is one other thing I'd like to say before I get into that,
Please.
and that is that you make an interesting point. And you said that you're an immigrant to the United States.
Yes.
Well, all of our people.
A legal immigrant. I have to say that, yes, because now these days you have to be politically correct. Remember,
sure. we talked about
that.
Politically correct.
Right, exactly.
But the interesting thing about that, Stefan, is that most of the people that are here in the United States were immigrants or are descendants of immigrants. If you are not Native American, then you, my friend, are an immigrant. Okay, that's the first thing that we all should understand.
No matter 10th generation or second generation, any kind of generation, you are an immigrant.
Or a descendant of an immigrant,
right,
to the United States.
Right.
So that aside, so it's an interesting question that you bring up about where do our rights begin and where do they end. Well, the law says that, you know, as you read, that there should be no law that's written that will interfere or infringe upon a person's ability to freely express themselves through religion or through the press or through words, through speech. That is a very broad and very wide encompassing right. Okay, there is very little, in fact, that can be suppressed in the way of language or speech. In fact, the government has very broad restrictions on how they can write laws that govern free speech. Most speech is protected speech. So when we talk about Charlottesville and the issues that come up when we talk about the freedom of speech there, you also touched on the right of assembly. Well, and I want to preface this, I will probably not make a lot of friends with what I'm about to say. But even those people, those that were there that were organizing this rally, the alt-right or the white supremacists, whatever you want to label that group of people, their right to speak and to assemble is protected by the First Amendment. And I would be the first one to go to bat for them and make sure that they have the right to assemble and to speak. Because if we begin to say, I don't like what you're saying, so therefore you do not have the right to speak, well then we'd be living in dangerous territory, because then we'd be talking about censorship of a great many people's ideas and the way that they want to express themselves. So,
see, that's why, Derek, that's why I was saying, what are the boundaries of that? Because to answer to your question, when I was watching all the segments, I mean, people with holding the torch and walking, and you know what they were saying? They were saying that a Jew cannot take my place. A Jew cannot take my job. A Jew cannot. And you know what? This segment itself, it brought me back to 1939 in Berlin. Mm-hmm. This is what I felt it. Right. I'm not a Jewish, right. But this is what I mean. I got the goosebumps.
Yes.
That this is what people are saying.
Yes.
Where 6 million people, innocent people, died.
Yes.
When I see this, and I see this freedom of the speech, where in Washington, when Mr. Erdogan came and his people start beating the people, I mean, that they were
protesting the Turkish government.
Yes, mm-hmm. and you know, it was like 1.5 million innocent people died. Children, women, elderly died. That's okay.
I'm sorry. Let me take care of this.
Okay.
My little interruption into freedom of speech here. My apologies.
Yes. So this is what, you know what
yes.
I'm saying. So when you said this is very dangerous, thing to say, but people are on the street are saying that.
This is the thing about the First Amendment. It is a very powerful tool, and sometimes that the freedom of speech will allow other people to speak of things that most of us don't want to hear about.
Right.
You see, and that is the beauty also of the freedom of speech, because it empowers anyone, you, myself, or anyone else that's watching here today, to be able to go and speak their mind freely and to be able to articulate and express their ideas without the fear of being persecuted for it by the government.
Right.
Now, there are some restrictions on speech, and they're very, very narrow. The government can place what are called time, place, and manner restrictions on speech. In other words, they can tell you, if you plan to assemble somewhere and have a rally, they can tell you, well, you can only assemble between the hours of 8 o'clock a.m. and 12 noon, and you can only do it at this place at this time, and the manner in which you are able to protest or rally is prescribed by these rules. So the government can and has broad latitude to put restrictions on conduct and the way that you plan to protest, but the speech, the very nature of the speech itself is where it becomes very limited for the government to say anything. So basically, you can go and say anything that you want to, as long as you are not inciting someone to imminent violence, okay? So, and what that means, and the courts have said that imminent violence is that violence which is going to occur in that moment. So, because we believe or feel like, this speech that they're talking about, Jews won't take our place is bad and horrible and detestable and evil, despicable, it is their right to be able to speak that makes this country what is so special about it.
Let me share this with you. A friend of mine introduced me to this guy. He used to be the bodyguard of Saddam Hussein. I mean, we were just talking about it. And he said, you know how bad Iraq was? And I said, no, how bad? So one of his sons, that he was out in a club with the girlfriend or girl, and someone dared to say, "Oh my God, that girl is ugly," he took his gun and shot that guy. Okay? And I'm saying, wow.
Right.
And see, this is what, thank God, as you said, we're living in a country where the freedom of speech is the government's protection. You can go ahead and say it. But here, this is what I'm picturing. Whatever you say, you have to stand behind your words to explain whatever it is. If it is a bigotry, if it is a, despicable and this and that, you have to stand up and say why you're doing this. Because after all, I mean, imagine, it happens a lot when people will say, "Oh, you're not American, right?" I mean, what does an American mean? What does an American mean? We are all immigrants, as you said, except the Native Americans, of course, or we come.
We're all immigrants. There's no way around it. Everyone that is here that is not an American
I mean,
native.
especially these days when Mr. Trump is, bringing this back and saying, no, I'm not going to extend the different, the special circumstances for those children that they were as a child here in this country.
The DACA program.
DACA program, yes. And then they grew up and now they are very successful people.
Sure.
Okay, they were 2 or 3 years old when they came with their parents. So do you think a 3-year-old will break a law?
Probably not.
See, that's why we need people like you, lawyers like you, to show us what is the right way to do it and what is the wrong way to do it, right?
Well,
that's why you're
one would hope that you see that, and that's the other thing about laws. There's always, if everything was cut and dry, then you would have no need for an attorney,
right?
And there would be no need for a courtroom because there wouldn't be two sides of an argument. But there's always two sides of an argument, and that's another beauty of our system.
Actually, our legal system inherited from Great Britain the totally different kind of law than people in Europe that inherited. We had like over there French law and the English law, which we call it common law.
Correct.
So we actually inherit the common law from England.
Correct.
And therefore, I don't know which one is better. Over there, if you do this, you get this punished. If you do this, you get this. Is the Napoleon law.
Okay.
But where the common law is, you have to really put some senses into it and understand the law itself.
Again, the Constitution comes into play in every part and aspect of American life. When it comes to the law, the Constitution is very clear that everyone is afforded a fair trial. Everyone is afforded the help of an attorney. If they can't afford one will be appointed to them. All of these laws are bestowed upon us through the Constitution and the amendments to the Constitution. And you're right, a lot of American law as we know it today comes from the English common law, and the ideas that were passed because we were obviously, again, the forefathers were immigrants from England who came over on boats and brought their ways with it, or some of them with them, and they wanted to lose some of those ways.
Imagine our forefathers also revolted against the government, against the king, and they wanted to be independent. And that's why we have Boston Tea Party, and we have all this, wars against, and of course, people came together because they loved this country, they cared about this country. And now these days, this is also, I like to bring it in. I don't have, if I have, yeah, I do have like 10 more minutes. But let me just say, people are trying to define the word patriot. Who is a patriot? I am a patriot because I defend my country. I am a patriot because I am a rightist, leftist, this and that. That's the sad part, because for me, a patriot is a person in uniform who, he or she, is somewhere now out there defending your and my children's and your children's right.
That's right.
This person is patriot.
Those are
to
true
me.
patriots, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, to stand up, to sign this, to sign that, to where is the patriotism here?
Well, I mean, broadly defined, patriotism is the loyalty to one's country, right? So I think it's hard, you know, when someone says because that I might feel differently from you about a particular topic or issue, that I'm therefore unpatriotic, somehow it rings hollow to me. Unless I am some way degrading or you know, committing some type of treasonous act against my country, you know, there's no credence to you calling me unpatriotic if I'm just standing up for what I believe is the right way to do things. You know, so a patriot to me is someone that believes in country and strives to uplift their fellow countrymen and to, you know, protect the ideas and the virtues of our great nation. And that goes for someone of another nation. You know, you don't have to be a United States citizen to be a patriot. You could be a patriot of your own country, wherever that is. But I'm a patriot of the United States because I think it's probably one of the greatest countries on earth. And as I said before, I'm by any means necessary, I'm willing to defend the right to be able to speak freely with you as I am today about any topic that I want to, as long as I'm not inciting someone to immediate violence or talking about profanity. Those types of things are unprotected speech. So I would go to bat for even white supremacists to be able to have their day and speak their minds and say things, even if I don't agree with them, and even if they're horrible and terrible things that I don't want to hear. I would go to bat for them. And I would make sure that they're able to do that, to do just that, have that talk and have their rally and speak their minds freely. Because if I try to shut them down, what happens when I need to speak my piece?
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So for me, that's patriotism. You know, being willing to take the good with the bad, because that is what is at the core of this whole thing, is that, you know, sometimes horrible, bad things happen, but they are necessary in order for us to grow and for us to have these conversations and talk about these things. Sometimes bad things have to happen. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
About when you said very nicely that a patriot who is a patriot, and let me just give you some my personal experience. My grandfather never came to this country, never. But he loved this country. You know why he loved this country? Because he was saved by Presbyterian missionaries during the World War I, during the Armenian genocide.
Wow.
He lost his family. He had no one. This is my maternal father, my grandfather, who was from the city of Urfa, and he was orphan. And he always said that people from America, angels from America, because they had this white shirts on them, those doctors and nurses and missionaries, he was saved by American angels. And all the day that he was living, he had 3 pictures on his wall One in the middle was Sacred Heart of Jesus. One was American flag. One was cutting at the picture of JFK there. I don't know what was he thinking, but he somehow brainwashed, and he said, if you want to raise a family, go to United States. That's the country that you are going to succeed. That's why we're here. So, and I know you are also, we have 4 more minutes, and I like to also bring this up. You're a wonderful attorney, workers' comp, and people, if you need a wonderful, knowledgeable, what's another adjective I have to put there?
The most fantastic, the best lawyer money can buy right here.
Amen. So just go ahead and tell us about workers' comp and.
Sure. Well, workers' compensation law, I practice workers' compensation law. I do actually representation for injured workers as well as employers. But if you're hurt while at work, you have certain rights that are available to you through the state of California, workers' compensation rights and benefits that you're entitled to that oftentimes employers aren't always forthright in making sure that you're covered or that you get the benefits that you're entitled to. So an attorney like myself that does workers' compensation would come in and make sure that your rights are protected and that you're getting the benefits that you're entitled to. On the other side of that, I also represent employers and defend them in instances where they are being sued for a workers' compensation claim and where they don't have coverage through an insurance company. So I represent uninsured employers in workers' compensation cases to minimize their exposure and loss in those instances. So if you're hurt at work and you need representation, or if you are an employer who is facing a workers' compensation case or claim, don't hesitate to give me a call. You can reach me at area code 818-274-3055. The name of the firm is the Law Offices of Derek Sean Tucker, Esquire. I'm based in Woodland Hills, but I have a car and will travel.
Derek, promise me that you're coming back.
Absolutely. If you'll have me, I will be here.
Please. So, because see how fast 30 minutes goes. So, first of all, on behalf of AMGA and me personally, thank you very much. I know, again, you are so busy.
Never too busy for you, Stefan.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. And we need people like you. Okay, Derek, really, to enlighten us and to explain things that is foreign to us.
Sure.
Honestly. And therefore, thank you very much for coming. And as you promised, I am going to call you and ask you questions and ask you to come here again. So this is how we put our programs and thoughts together. Anything that you want to say to our community?
It's been a pleasure to know Stefan and the community. I've been warmly accepted by the Armenian community, and I am very appreciative of that. And I want to just thank you.
For 21 years, you've been
putting up the good fight.
Yes, we're going to do this next time. Okay.
Thank you,
dear viewers. Thank you very much for your watching us. Please watch us every Monday at 10 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Սիրելի հերոստայդող բարեկամներ, այսպես որ կավարտենք մեր այսօրվա ելույթը, կցանկանանք ձեզ բոլորիդ բարի աշխատանք, բարի կյանք եւ մեր մայր հայրենիքին պայծառ երկինք եւ կանաչ ճանապարհ. Always remember, your freedom is always with you, but it stops when you interfere someone else's freedom. So, right?
That's
Thank
correct.
you very much. Have a beautiful night. Bye-bye.
Barry Gishev.
Barry Gishev.